what's narcissism? If I'm confident in my abilities and myself, does that mean that I'm narcissistic? If you're interested in finding out if you're narcissistic or if you have narcissistic traits or qualities, then you're going to want to watch this video where I'm going to discuss the 6 different types of narcissism. And you're going to want to stay until the end because I will discuss what healthy narcissism is. So stay tuned. So, what is narcissism? Narcissism resides on a spectrum, just like depression and anxiety. So, on one end, you can have someone who has some narcissistic traits or qualities, characteristics, all the way to the other side, which is someone who has a full-blown narcissistic personality disorder. So, what's the difference? Well, when we're talking about clinical aspects of narcissism, we're talking about someone who doesn't show any form of remorse, someone who doesn't have empathy, someone who will devalue other people or manipulate other people just to get what they want or just to feel a sense of admiration or value. And that's the clinical aspect of narcissism. There's other narcissistic traits, and there's a lot of people who have healthy sense of their mental self who exhibit narcissistic traits. And this might include high self-esteem or confidence. Did you know that there are 6 different types of narcissism? According to the research, there are a number of different types, not just the classical type, someone who just believes that they're on top of the world better than everybody else, so grandiose and looking for that value or, like I said, admiration. There's more to the story. So there's overt narcissism, covert narcissism, antagonistic narcissism, communal narcissism, malignant narcissism, and seductive narcissism. So now let's break down these types and have an understanding of what exactly these types are. Overt narcissism is basically your classic narcissist. So this is someone who is, like I've mentioned, grandiose, someone who is in a position of having this huge ego. They have very high self-esteem. So it's not just as a typical person who has high self-esteem, they have a higher sense of self-esteem, which means that they believe that they're on top of the world. They believe that they can do no wrong. They have full trust in themselves no matter what they do. And really what ends up happening too is they can deny what potential risks are or potential harms. They are also preoccupied with fantasies about success. And again, because their ego is so big, they believe that they can't do any wrong. So whether it's a business venture or whether it's an everyday decision, they believe that whatever their choice is, it's always right. Even their opinions are right. And the classic narcissist, they believe that they are superior to everyone. They have this sense of being overly confident.
The need to find another human being to share one's life with has always puzzled me. Maybe because I'm so interesting all by myself. With that being said, may you find as much happiness with each other as I find on my own.
So as you can see, Sheldon Cooper experiences this grandiose sense of self, this inflated sense of self, that he is the smartest person in the entire world, that he knows more than everybody else. And this is pretty typical of someone who has some narcissistic traits, as well who has a clinical diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder. The difference here with the narcissistic personality disorder is the devaluing piece. So if Sheldon Cooper is in a position of devaluing other people and really making them feel very small, which sometimes he can do, then that might be a clinical issue. And if he doesn't show a sense of remorse, then this can also be a clinical issue as well. So Sheldon Cooper is a fair example of someone who exhibits more overt type narcissism. Next is covert narcissism. You may or may not have heard this type, but this is actually the opposite of overt narcissism or grandiose or the inflated sense of self. So this is someone who actually internalizes a sense of self-doubt, feeling as though that they don't live up to their expectations, that they don't live up to other people's expectations. And this sense of internalized attack leads them to devalue themselves. And what happens is because they're in a position of constantly in their mind devaluing themselves, they are in desperate need of getting external validation. So if they've done something right and their boss says, "Oh, wow, look at this, you've done so amazing on this project," they'll take that, internalize that in order to feel better about themselves.
On the one hand, I know Dr. Kelso doesn't mean anything by it, and okay, maybe I am kind of a sweetheart.
I'm sleeping?
On the other hand, it just sounds so demeaning, you know?
Mother of God, you're not listening to a word I'm saying, are you?
It's not like he's my grandpa or anything. Anyway, JD always tells me how much you've helped him out.
So he obviously hasn't told you about my ear-flicking policy, has he?
Look, this whole groovy guidance counselor thing you people seem to have working is a total fantasy. I'm not that guy. You can go and ask anybody. Now, you've got to leave me alone, or I'll punish you.
So the covert narcissist needs the external validation so that they can be in a position to value themselves. So this is a person who is introverted, who can withdraw from others, like I said, craves praise because they need it in order really to fight that negative self-talk, in order to have a sense of intrinsic value. Antagonistic narcissism. So this is someone who likes to argue, who likes to prove and push that they are right. This is someone who is competitive, a shark, someone who is focused on winning. The antagonistic narcissist is arrogant. They're in a position of wanting to stir up some trouble. They want to argue. They want to push their opinions and push what they know forward in order to maybe prove that someone is what? Stupid, apparently, in order to devalue the other person. So this is the antagonistic narcissist.
Your girlfriend called the clinic 15 times looking for you today.
Huh. Lot to discuss. China patterns.
House. She's a stalker.
Right. Couldn't be that she finds me interesting, attractive. Has to be that she's insane.
She's called you 15 times. Your mother's not that interested in
Well,
you.
maybe I'd be better adjusted if she was. Told you it would work. Work on the wrong patient. We could spend all day arguing right or wrong. Give me the $100. Wait in bed. We could spend all day arguing whether we bet or not. Give me the $100.
You need to apologize to this guy.
I'm a man of principle. I don't care how much time and money it costs you to defend me.
Was there anyone else that you thought of who is an antagonistic narcissist besides Dr. House? I mean, of course he's going to want to prove he's right. Of course he's going to push people. He's in a position of trying to save lives, but there's also an arrogance to it, a need to be right. Communal narcissist is different from the antagonistic, but still falls under the category of overt narcissism. So the communal narcissist is someone who aligns themselves with social causes and feels a sense of moral outrage when there's anything unfair that's going on. This is someone who is fixated on public image, which means this is someone who really wants all the credit for themselves, wants to show that they are this moral person, being in a position of helping society, being in a position of maybe being the only person that can help society. And fundamentally here, they look or engage in altruistic behaviors that really is not about the other person or people or group, but really is about themselves. So this way they appear a particular way in the public eye, or they get a sense of pleasure doing something good for someone else. It's a means to an end. It's not, in fact, actually genuine what they're doing. They're doing it as a means to get somewhere. They use people, they use causes as a means to shed light on how amazing they are.
Sorry, Phoebes. I just wanted to do a good deed, like you did with the babies.
This isn't a good deed. You just want to get on TV. This is totally selfish.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What about you having those babies for your brother? Talk about selfish.
Malignant narcissism. Okay, so this is a type of narcissism that has a kind of antisocial, psychopathic component to it. So this is someone who is vindictive. This is someone who is manipulative. This is someone who is sadistic. This is someone who breaks all of the rules. Someone who is in a position of only focusing on themselves, only focusing on their needs, and it doesn't matter who is in their way or who might get hurt as a result of their endeavor.
I'm not sure whose twisted idea it was to put hundreds of adolescents in underfunded schools, run by people whose dreams were crushed years ago. But I admired the sadism.
So someone like Wednesday Addams actually fits this malignant narcissist type description. She can be vindictive. She can be manipulative. She's definitely sadistic when she goes out and harms and tortures other people. And this is all about her. This is all about her trying to figure out what is going on within her town, trying to figure out if there is a crime, if there is a monster, and she's just focused on herself. There is a sense of needing power, being in control, and this is something that you see in the character Wednesday. Seductive narcissism. This is a concept where people use their sexuality or seductive behavior as a means to get what they want. Again, it's a means to an end. So someone might be flirtatious, someone might be in a position of putting you on the pedestal. Well, you look so amazing, you're fantastic, I admire you, you're adored, only to use them. So the seductive narcissist uses that flirtation, uses that seductiveness as a means to get what they want.
Gabrielle Solis, who lives down the block, brought a spicy paella. Since her modeling days in New York, Gabrielle had developed a taste for rich food and rich men.
Again, it's all about them. It's all about their ego in order to satisfy who they are. Because ultimately for narcissists, and this is across the board for any type, there is some internal turmoil. And they have a sense of consciously, and a lot of the times it's unconscious, but sometimes it's conscious, of devaluing themselves, especially for the covert narcissist, feeling as though they don't live up to their expectations, feeling as though that they aren't in fact superior. So as a means to treat this internal turmoil, they tend to project this outward and tend to either try to find the external validation, or they devalue others and take from others and make people feel really poorly about themselves in order to satisfy their inner turmoil. Now, all of this seems doom and gloom for the narcissist, whether you have traits or whether you struggle with a full-blown clinical narcissistic personality disorder. It seems as though that it's all doom and gloom, but that's not the case, because there is such a thing called healthy narcissism. I don't know if you know this, but healthy narcissism is something that promotes our well-being, promotes who we are, promotes our self-concept. We can be in a position of connecting with a part of us, a part of a healthy narcissistic sense of self, by having confidence. And what does that mean? Well, confidence means having trust in yourself. Trust that if something were to happen, you'll be okay. You can problem solve. You can make that decision. You can utilize your supports. So having confidence in yourself is part of healthy narcissism. Asserting yourself, such as having boundaries and firmly planting your feet on the ground in an argument, is part of healthy narcissism. We don't have to go as far as devaluing somebody else or manipulating someone else or persuading somebody else. We can easily assert ourselves and advocate for ourselves. We can have a healthy sense of self through our self-esteem. All of these factors are part of healthy narcissism, a part of caring for ourselves, because it is so important that we recognize the aspects of ourselves and care for ourselves. Because if we don't, then we're just going to fall victim to the negative self-talk, the negative self-attack, and then we're going to be desperate to get all of these external factors, external validation to feel better, external substances to feel better, when really we can just work from within. I want to thank you for listening to today's video, and I want to thank you for your ongoing support. If you'd like to see more of these videos, then please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel, so this way you can be informed of when I release new videos, which is every Wednesday. So while you wait on the edge of your seat for the next video, be sure to watch this video where I discuss the ways in which you can increase your happiness.